The most prestigious award in the NBA. What comes to mind? Obviously the MVP award, right? I mean, we all love the Coach of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, the Rookie of the Year, all of that, Most Improved. It's great, but come on, we all really care about who the MVP is. Over decades, I mean, from all the old heads to the millennials to the new gens, we've all had a debate of who got robbed of MVP, who deserved MVP, who had the best MVP seasons, who didn't deserve MVP. I mean, you go through all of these different scenarios and these talking points, but let's get really down to the chase of this season, because in recent memory, I started watching the NBA religiously in 2013, spent about a decade, so I didn't really watch before that, you know what I mean? But in the times I have watched, I would definitely say this season is for sure the closest MVP race I've ever seen. Some years, like when Steph won it unanimously, Russell Westbrook in his MVP season, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, when they all won MVP, it was kind of clear cut. You knew who was going to win. Even when Giannis won it back-to-back, I mean, he had dominant seasons, and there really wasn't somebody in the running. But the past two seasons, Nikola Jokic has won it, and there's been some debate in those seasons as well. I mean, once Embiid got hurt in 2020, it was kind of Jokic's award to just lose because he was the front runner at that point. And then last season, Embiid really made a push, but then last probably month or so, Jokic just took it home, went back-to-back. This season, from pretty much a month after the year started till probably about a week ago, Jokic was the MVP favorite again, trying to go three-peat. I mean, crazy numbers he's putting up. Denver's the 1 seed. It was all going according to plan for Nikola Jokic. But recently, the Nuggets went on a 4-game losing streak, and they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They are now sitting at 48 wins, which, don't get me wrong, still very good. No one's going to argue that. But Milwaukee has 51 wins, and Giannis is playing quite amazing himself. And the 76ers have 49 wins, and Embiid is having the best year of his career. I mean, just take a look at it. Right now, Embiid is the front runner for MVP, but in 3 days from now, it could all change. You really just don't know with this MVP race, because Giannis is third right now, but Giannis could have a crazy 2-3 week stretch of the season, and boom, he is then going to win MVP. This is a 3-way race. This is also an award that I thought Luka Doncic would really compete for this year. He might become the Josh Allen of the NBA, where like Josh Allen is usually the MVP favorite in the NFL, and then he just ends up never winning it. This could be like Luka's always the MVP favorite preseason, but since he doesn't really take care of his body like he should, he's injured more than not. He doesn't play good defense, while Giannis and Embiid are two of the best rim protectors the league has to offer, while also putting up production offensively that Luka does himself. So let's take a look. So Embiid this season is averaging 33.6 points per game as a center. This is pretty much the equivalent of Shaq in the early 2000s. Shaq, he probably was the best scorer in the NBA. It's really hard to argue. Jordan had left the league. LeBron wasn't in the league yet. You didn't really, Kobe hadn't evolved. I mean, Kobe was in the shadows compared to Shaq, you know what I mean? So I would definitely say we haven't seen this type of production since Shaq, which is crazy because Shaq's a top 10 player of all time. I mean, undeniably, you can't have a top 10 list that's valid and not have Shaquille O'Neal on there. He's also given you 10.3 rebounds a game, which honestly, you probably want a little more rebounds since Jokic and Giannis average about 12. You probably want Embiid to get 11 because he's just as tall as they are. But he's also giving you 4 assists a game, and for somebody like that who doesn't even orchestrate the offense, like James Harden is the guy who handles the ball for Philadelphia, and Harden is averaging over 10 assists a game. So to even have 4 assists and he's doing a lot of his passing out of the post, it's quite impressive to me. He's super efficient. Embiid, you know, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, free throw merchant and all that. Understandably so. You know, nobody wants to just watch free throws. People want to watch you hit the fadeaway, the three-pointer. They want to see you hit some shots that you're going to have to earn. So it's not sexy. It's not the greatest when you're at the free throw line 15, 20 times a game. But at the same time, a lot of these teams are just fouling Embiid because you can't really stop him. It is tough to stop somebody like that. 7 foot can stretch the floor. The physicality and dominance he brings, it is tough. Now, I know he's not the best. I wouldn't say he's the best pure scorer in the league. I'd say Kevin Durant will, until he retires or slows down significantly, KD will, he's probably the best scorer of all time, just purely based on what he can do. But Embiid's leading the league. He might go back-to-back scoring title as a center. That's unheard of. Philadelphia, is a team who, since after the All-Star break, has played better than any other team in the league. And even before that, probably in 2023, they've been the best win-loss percentage team in the league. I mean, they've really balled out this year so far. So good for them. Good for the Sixers in general. And they are third. I do understand that. That's a knock against the MVP case because Boston is second right now. So you're going to be like, well, I'm going to give it to Embiid when he's the third and Jokic is the first seed. But then again, it's just because of the conference he's in. Philadelphia would be the number 1 seed over Denver if they were in the Western Conference. So that argument doesn't really pan out to me. I think you should still give props where props is due, and they're only 2 wins behind Milwaukee. It's really like if Milwaukee was up by 7-8 games, understandably so, you could say, okay, Embiid's really not towards the top, but 2 games? I mean, there's still 10 games left in the year. You never know. I mean, I assume Milwaukee won't lose a bunch of games, so they should end up as the number 1 seed. But crazier things have happened. So, honestly, I could see the case for Embiid because he's been playing great. He plays offense and he plays defense. He's the complete player. Now, you would like him to play a little better come playoff time. Now, I know he plays really well, but the playoffs are where you really have to go above and beyond. Like, pretty much 2021 finals run Giannis is what I'm talking about. Like, if Embiid averages 30 and 10 in the playoffs, that's cool. That's about what he averages in the regular season. The playoffs are where you need to increase your points per game by 3-4, your rebounds, blocks, intensity needs to go up because you can exert yourself a little more because you know you don't have to play any back-to-backs. You don't have to play 82 games. Max, you got to get 16 wins. So I'm looking for Embiid to have a great postseason run. I think Philadelphia can make some noise. I do think they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals. I think we're going to get a Milwaukee and Philadelphia Eastern Conference Finals. I do think Boston can. But I think the change of coaching really hurt them over the offseason. And I just feel like recently they've kind of been a little inconsistent. So shout out to Embiid. I definitely think he could get the MVP nod. And then we also have the man himself, Nikola Jokic. Mr. Back-to-back looking to go three-peat first since Larry Bird in the mid-'80s. Now Jokic this season is averaging a triple-double, 24.7 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists, which is amazing. Good for Jokic. To average a triple-double as a center has never been done. That's pretty obvious. A center has never had more than 9 assists a game. Wilt Chamberlain in the 60s had 8.6 assists per game. That was the most before Jokic. And Jokic has 4 of the 6 most assisted center points per game in a season, which is pretty insane. So that's great. Jokic he's the best big man playmaker of all time. He's one of the best passers of all time. You could argue he's top 5 passer of all time. I mean, his IQ and vision on the court is unmatched for being 7 foot, and he's so unathletic. You would look at somebody like Jokic, if you just saw him run on the track or something, you'd be like, dude, this guy does not belong in the NBA. This guy belongs in the arm wrestling competitions they do in Russia or something like that. But no, this guy, he's like Luka. You don't look at Luka and Jokic and you think, oh, these are some crazy athletic guys. They will be slow and methodical, but they use that to their advantage. That's crazy. Nobody else really does that. It's tough. I mean, you do find a couple of guys who can do that, but I mean, it's really dominant how they can do that while playing such a slow game. They just slow the pace down, and it just comes natural to both of them. But going back to Jokic, the Nuggets at one point did have the most wins in the entire league. That was also before the Milwaukee Bucks went on a hot streak, and that was also before the Sixers decided to surge a little bit. Actually, I think the Celtics might have had a couple more wins, but they were right there with Boston. It was Boston and Denver. They were kind of competing for the number 1 overall team in the league record-wise. But Jokic, the MVP case you can make for him is, I don't really like to use advanced statistics. I like to go PRA, points, rebounds, assists. Add them all together, see what you get. Look at team success. Look at efficiency. That is one thing I'll give Jokic as a big nod for him. Is efficiency-wise, scoring the ball is more efficient than Giannis and Embiid because he doesn't really take that many shots because he doesn't need to. He plays with Michael Porter Jr., who's basically the reincarnation of J.R. Smith. If you've ever watched Michael Porter Jr. play, you'll be like, wait, I've seen that before. Isn't that New York Knicks J.R. Smith? I mean, it's like the same person. I mean, they don't pass the ball. They get the ball, and it doesn't matter if there's 2 guys in his face. He's going to just pull a 3. He's also got Jamal Murray to score the ball, too, so he doesn't really... He's got Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. Now, last year they needed him to score the ball more because you didn't have Porter Jr. and you didn't have Jamal Murray. you had Bones Highland and Aaron Gordon. That's really all you were working with. You didn't have much. So the case for Jokic is that his team's number one in the West, triple-double, and his efficiencies are off the charts. Like, statistically, crazy numbers. I wouldn't be mad if Jokic won it. He wouldn't get my vote. Neither would Embiid. But you can't get mad at any of these three if they won the MVP. They're all great players. And contrary to what Kendrick Perkins said, if Jokic gets the MVP over those other two, it has nothing to do with the color of his skin. Let's just get that out there and out of the way. Kendrick Perkins is an idiot. I mean, his biggest achievement was being a solid center for the Celtics and the Thunder, and then being a bench piece alongside LeBron James and Kyrie Irving in the 2016 finals. I mean, I probably deserved a ring as much as Kendrick Perkins did in 2016, and I was 14 at the time. That's how irrelevant he was to that championship.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No.
But moving on, and then we've got Giannis, the third of the bunch. Last but not least, who I would vote for. If I had a media vote for MVP, my vote would go to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, Giannis is also one of my favorite players in the NBA, so call me what you want, a little biased or whatever, but he is putting up 31.3 points per game, so about 2 off of Embiid. Not scoring the ball as great as Embiid is, but 12 rebounds a game, so he's almost got Embiid. He's got Embiid by over a rebound and a half a game, which is impressive, and he's got 5.6 assists per game. So he's got Embiid on rebounds and assists of combined over three more assists and rebounds a game than him, which is pretty impressive. So if you do the PRA, Giannis would beat out Jokic and Embiid, which is awesome. Now, the argument for Giannis, obviously, they have the best record in the Eastern Conference. They're the number one overall team in the league record-wise. They're doing great. He also had a majority of the season carry without Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton was injured for a little bit. And then Drew Holiday was still figuring out kind of his role on the team, because obviously Drew Holiday's been there for a couple years, but Drew Holiday had to figure out without Middleton, Drew Holiday had to take more shots, and he'd really not done that in recent memory. So he had to really work with Drew to figure out how the offense was going to run, and it ran amazing. I mean, they did great without Chris Middleton, and Chris Middleton's a great player. So this is the team I have winning it all. If I had to make a bet right now, I'm going Milwaukee Bucks. I think they are the most complete team in the NBA. And when you have the best player in the NBA, it's pretty hard not to at least make the finals. Like, fully healthy, best player in the league, and you have a supporting cast, that's tough. That is really tough not to make the finals. Giannis, he just gives you everything. He gives you defense, he gives you offense. He's probably the best two-way player in the game, if I had to say so myself. Now, he's not a wing, so he's not the best two-way wing player, obviously, but he's the best two-way player overall. He'll give you 31 a game, and he'll lock up your best player on any given night. He's so good. I mean, his rim protection is elite. It's up there with Jaren Jackson and whoever else you can think of. He's up there, man. And Giannis has won a Defensive Player of the Year. Embiid's never won Defensive Player of the Year, and that's not to take away from Embiid. Embiid's a great defender in his own right, but Giannis is a better defender, and that rings true to today. I mean, so to be honest, this MVP race is just crazy. Again, if I had a vote, I'd go Giannis, but I wouldn't be mad if Jokic or Embiid won it, because they're having historically great seasons. And I've just been enjoying this. I think NBA fans as a collective need to do better about just enjoying greatness while it's here. People want to complain about free throws and no defense and all that, but then those same people in like 2025 will be like, oh man, like we took that for granted a couple years ago. It's just how it goes. It's just how life goes. People take stuff for granted. So do not take this MVP race for granted. This might be the closest race we will ever have. We do not have a favorite. We don't have somebody who's on like a 60-win team right now, Steph Curry type player putting up video game numbers on a 73-9 team. Like, that's just not what's going on. So if you did enjoy this video, consider hitting that sub and like button. It's completely free. I would of course appreciate it. And if you want to turn on the notification bell, we do post around here. We're going to start posting around here more often, so I would also appreciate that as well. If you enjoy this type of content, let me know. I'd like to do some more NBA commentary videos. Doing the NBA shorts right now. Let me know if you have any suggestions for both short forms of content. I would really appreciate that. And if you also have another video idea, let me know in the comments, because I'm always open to suggestions. That's going to be it for me, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.